Hello and welcome to Painting the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yi, and today I want to have a little experiment with you all. So I have not done a lot of basing, and I painted the mechs for expeditions, and they look very similar. I mean, you've got the color schemes of like gray and shiny and black going on with a little bit of lights and maybe some wood here or there. But they're different mechs, but they look so similar color-wise, and I thought, hey, they're all standing up really high from their bases, so they don't have a lot of coverage on the base. And then the bases are pretty big. So why not? Let's try basing. I've done it once before, just a little bit, barely anything. So come and explore with me. I inherited some cool basing material. I've got some flocking, some cute little shrubs going on, and some other stuff, rocks, all that jazz. So let's go ahead and just see kind of what works, what doesn't work, and let's try it out. Okay, first off, I wanted to experiment whether or not painting the base black first mattered. Or really, I guess any color first mattered. And so what I went ahead is I took a couple white bases and then I painted some brown and I painted some black. And I was like, okay, from here, we're going to put some rocks on. So we went ahead, I did the whole glue thing first, like put down some good old Elmer's glue, PVA glue, whatever you have. I went ahead and I painted that on. I threw some rocks on. I've got the little rocks and the big rocks and I put them on kind of differently and such. And then I let it dry and I wanted to see, hey, how much does it show through? And it is one of the things that I really noticed was that the black looked good, having the black underneath the rocks, because it hid, I mean, just naturally you've got shadows underneath those things. And so it hid, that white base. And then the brown looked really good because brown is a more natural shadowed color of a brown rock. Then the white bases, it definitely showed. Ugh. It definitely showed through that white. And so when I went back through and I put the glue on top of the rocks, you just mix glue and water and then a little bit of paint. I noticed that the paint still didn't quite cover up those white spots. And so I was like, maybe if I'd really put a lot of paint in that glue mix, but I didn't want a ton. And so I was like, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I just don't think that worked. That wasn't sufficient. So then I came back in with a third attempt on coloring the stupid rocks and these white bases. I learned my lesson real quickly. Paint the bases. Oh my goodness. So then I made another attempt to cover up that white that's showing. And I decided to come in with a contrast paint with a really dark brown. And I was like, it's thin enough that it'll automatically fill in the holes because I don't want to just take regular paint because I'd have to water down a bunch. And then what if it didn't stick and it had the same problems as before? So I took the contrast, put it in, and it made my rocks super dark, which is fine. That's an effect, right? You can have that effect. So it made everything really dark. But it mostly covered in those holes. I definitely had to do 2 layers just to get it covered up and to get, all of that white gone from the base. But then it looked fine. So that's an option if you don't want to paint your bases first, I guess. But also way more work. So don't do that. Don't make my mistakes. So because that dark brown base was so dark, I thought, hey, what if I took some more of these large rocks that are now a completely different color from what I've already put on there, and let me put another layer of them on. So I took some of the large rocks and I layered them on in just little patches. So I spread them out. And I just kind of clumped them together so that it looked like little raised parts in the dirt because you don't want everything the same, right? You don't want it all the same color. You don't want it all the same texture because the ground doesn't exist like that. Nature is not just flat, perfectly manicured grass, right? So I threw those rocks in and I liked it a lot. I really liked the contrast of those colors together. That was pretty cool. Then I went in and I went ahead and I did the dry brushing. So dry brushing is where you brush off most of the paint off of your brush. It's usually a flat brush of some sort. And then you just go over the top and it kind of highlights stuff and it makes things pop a little bit. It changes the coloring so that you've got some depth to what you're working with. And so I went through and I just dry brushed a little bit of everything, a lot of different colors, because I decided that since I had different colored landscapes already, but I had a couple that were kind of the same, I just wanted to make everything look a little bit different. I wanted them to have a different environment. So finally, after doing all of that, I get to do the plant part, which is what I was really excited about. So I have a few different possibilities and options, and I wanted to try them all, so why not? So I have these little foamy things that I think are supposed to be bushes. So I originally just took a chunk and I glued it on next to my neck, and it looked terrible, absolutely terrible. I realized that it needed to be broken up into much smaller pieces because it's more of an illusion effect. It's not actually like grass pieces. Like the shrubs I have really look like grass. But this is more just like, hey, it's supposed to kind of look like plants off in the distance, faded away, please zoom out. And so I put them on, they were smaller, and I dispersed them very kind of gently out so there wasn't a bunch of them together. And I think it added a cool effect. It's not my favorite, but it was pretty cool. And then I also tried the flocking. So that's just like loose little sticks of hair. They almost look like little tiny pieces of hair that are really short, like a centimeter long. And you just have like a whole jar of them. It's just like fluff. And so I tried that. I put some glue on different parts. And I especially put glue around one of the little mech legs because I wanted to look like he was just like slamming his foot into the grass, because that's what happens when you walk on grass, right? It gets all smushed. So I went ahead and I put it around his leg, and I thought that looked cool, kind of piecey around and stuff. It reminds me of using glitter. Like, this whole thing reminds me of using glitter, like the rocks, the flocking, the everything. As a kid, I didn't get to use glitter a lot, and so there's that like weird childhood rewardingness inside of me that's like, yes, I get to do glittery things where I put glue and then I dump stuff on it and then I shake it off and it looks cool. So there you go, flocking. That was fun and interesting. I also had some really, really light dust stuff that was, I don't know if that's also called flocking, but it was this kind of like grayish dust. And I put that down on one of the mechs, and it kind of reminded me of like melting, nasty, dirty snow is kind of how that looked. And so I just kind of put it on and around rocks in patches so it looked like the snow was mostly melted. Then finally I got to use these army painter shrubs that I have, and they're just little and they're like put together. They're a tiny bit sticky, so you just want to put a good chunk of glue down and stick them in, and then they're solid. They stick, they last, they're great. So I've got 3 different types, and I went ahead and I mixed a couple together on one of the mechs because I wanted to look more natural. You don't ever have like one plant type in any sort of environment. And then I used a couple of these ones that they almost look like they're burnt ground, and they've got like dried shrub growing out of them. Those are my favorite by far. So anyways, these are the mechs that I painted. Tell me what basing experiences you've had, any tips or tricks, because I'm new at all this whole basing thing. It's exciting, it's fun. I definitely liked the pre-painted base. I liked having the brown there, but I also like the effect that they all created and they all gave. So I'm happy with all of them. And so stay tuned for a future episode. We'll do more painting with the Dice Tower later. But in the meantime, I'm Wendy Yi. This is the Dice Tower, and keep basing, keep painting, keep shrubbing, keep flocking, keep on keeping on.